Hello, rusty pliers and obscure classifiers. My name is Goniloc, and I don't normally make video essays of this nature, but there is a specter haunting the internet metal community, and I'd like to use my platform to explain the nature of metal subgenres to those that don't fully understand. It's not unusual to see confusion and criticism, sometimes even full-on arguments, when fans begin to use more obscure terms to describe the music that they enjoy. Some examples of these terms would be war metal, brutal death metal as opposed to traditional death metal, atmospheric black metal, funeral doom metal, etc. But here's what I'd like to clear up. For the most part, these specifications exist and become popular for a good reason. Fans of a very specific style of music can apply those very specific terms to help them discover bands with a particular sound that they enjoy, as well as help them organize their own personal music collections and have deeper discussions with other nerds that unfortunately have access to the internet. But even more urgently than that, I'd like to let you all in on an industry secret. If you don't know what these terms mean, or you don't care about getting that specific, you don't have to. Look no further than the French band Nocturnal Depression. Great band, but that's not my point. Generally, people refer to Nocturnal Depression as depressive, suicidal black metal. If my enunciation of the words depressive and suicidal there made you recoil in confusion and shock horror, you can simply refer to them as black metal, and you'd still be correct, and everyone would still know what you meant in the right context. But if your hands are still trembling, if the adjective black put the fear of God into you, then don't worry. We can go shallower. Nocturnal Depression could also be described simply as a metal band, once again just as valid as any of the other terms. Every single one of those layers has a specific and a consistently applied and agreed upon definition, all of which apply to Nocturnal Depression. What matters most is your personal investment in the music. If you don't care, you don't have to. And if you do care, you can cater your obsessive behavior to reflect only the music that you love the most. For example, if you're deep in the doom sauce, you might want to consider Saint Vitus as traditional doom metal, Candlemas as epic doom metal, and Mournful Congregation as funeral doom metal. But if the doom sauce only goes up to your ankles or so, then it would probably be more to your benefit to simply lump all of those bands together as doom metal. You can get specific about one branch of metal while neglecting everything else. You can get specific about a few branches of metal. Or you can waste your precious youth by neurotically attempting to understand absolutely everything that's out there. But who would do such a thing? That pause was to emphasize the irony, but jokes aside, it's unrealistic to expect everybody to care about the exact same things when it comes to something as subjective as enjoying music. Don't harass somebody just because they slip a few extra adjectives into their genre title, and don't make fun of anybody just because they're unfamiliar with the nuances or if they simply don't care. Everybody should just relax. But hold on. The disease in my brain compels me to continue. There is one problem area, and this is where I sympathize with the folks who get frustrated. I believe that any genre classification is valid as long as you can explain and refer to examples of why this genre is musically distinct from other bands. If you can't find a consistent way to do that, then the genre probably doesn't need to exist. If you write death metal about Cheburashka, then first of all, please DM me immediately, but second of all, you're more than welcome to slap Cheburashka metal or Soviet-era cartoon metal on your merchandise. But to treat those terms as legitimate classifications, come on, boyo, you know better than that. Lyrical themes do not dictate the genre. Many genres utilize common tropes and practices, such as power metal with their knights and dragons, black metal with their Satan and winter, grindcore with their inability to tour outside of their home state without borrowing their parents' money, but you can mix and match the lyrics of all these styles, and the music itself, the music underneath all the fancy little words, would remain exactly the same. If we change the lyrics of Gorgoroth's Under the Sign of Hell to include obnoxious marijuana references, would that make it a stoner doom record? No way, Jose. Judas Priest wrote the song Beyond the Realms of Death, which deals with the topic of realms, yes, but also death. However, anyone familiar with Judas Priest, except maybe the writers of The Simpsons, can tell you that they are not a death metal band. I suppose you could make your own playlist titled Songs About Death, and Judas Priest would fit nicely right next to the likes of Necrophagia and Cannibal Corpse. But that is not the same thing as a genre, you dig? I understand that some of this stuff might seem complicated or even arbitrary, but at the end of the day, we're all just trying to effectively communicate about something we're passionate about. I hope this video cleared up any confusion you may have had, and if you still have questions, just keep exploring. There's not always a right answer anyway. Nobody's expecting you to become an expert overnight. That would take at least a day and a half. Speaking of which, I'll be tracking you down in exactly a day and a half to test your knowledge. I'll see you then, but until that time, have a beautiful day, babies and gentlemen.